Yo guys, what is up? C-Ray back with another video. And today I'm going to show you guys how you can get the handstand. There's probably a few reasons why you can't do it yet. So we're going to identify the issues together and figure it out. Let's go. Now guys, there's two reasons why you probably can't get the handstand. The first one being a strength issue. So maybe you can't do enough push-ups, which is not going to allow you to get the strength to be able to hold the handstand. The other one could be pike push-ups. If you haven't got these things in place, guys, and you're not at a good level, it's going to be hard for you to get into the handstand. So you want to make sure you're at a decent level. Usually that's not an issue in terms of strength. Most people can do the handstand without working on their strength, but just factor in the strength issue if you feel like you might be lacking some strength and able to get into the handstand. The next issue that people face when doing the handstand is not being able to hold their balance. So a balance issue. The thing that you can do to combat this issue would be working on headstands for alignment of your body, and also frog stands just to get to grips with how your wrists are going to feel and the overall balance of your body when it comes to the handstand. So these are things that I'd recommend you guys learning and practicing before you get into the handstand. So now we've identified the issue, we're going to talk about some different methods that you can actually do the handstand and even get into the handstand. So if you want to come right here, guys, the first thing that you can do to get into the handstand is obviously kick into it. So a lot of people do the handstand like this, and this is probably the reason why they can't get it. It's pretty hard to control when you do something like this. So as you can see, I'm just jumping into it right here. And I mean, I can just about get it, but it's way more difficult than other ways that you can do the handstand. The way that I like to do it, and I find this a lot easier, is not by kicking into it, guys. The best thing you can do, in my opinion, is to go from this, and you want to be tucking your body and then go into the handstand just like this. Okay, so as you can see, you're going to need a decent amount of strength to be able to do this, guys, to be able to push up. And that is why I recommend working on your pike push-ups and your handstand push-ups and anything that's going to increase your pushing strength, so even just push-ups. Another issue that I find a lot of people do is that when they do kick-ups into the handstand, they struggle to hold it because their legs are not straight, they're crooked, they're all over the place. And how are you going to be able to do a handstand if your legs aren't already in the position to be able to hold that handstand? So keep that in mind, guys. So if you want to be in a sprinter position like this, I'd recommend putting your bent knee as your strongest one. And what you want to do, guys, is keep this leg, your back leg, as straight as possible so it's already in line with your body as you kick up into the handstand. So something like this. So all you need to do is bring that second leg up to be straight with the other straight leg that's already straight into the handstand. And that is a great tip that I'd recommend for you guys to implement into your routine and your handstand so that you don't mess it up and you can get it a lot more frequently. So there are a few different ways that you can actually perform the handstand. The first one being the normal one on the floor, but you can also use parallettes, guys. So there are different size parallettes. The ones that I have today are smaller ones and they look a little bit like this. With using parallettes, it's a little bit different to on the floor, because on the floor, you're using your hands to grip the floor and balance. You're using your fingers to balance and, pull you in the right direction. So when it comes to being on the floor, you're almost using your fingers to keep you from falling forward this way, guys. But with the parallettes, it's more about your wrists than your fingers. So first thing you guys want to do is make sure that you have a good grip on the parallettes. That is number one. So make sure it's in the middle, make sure it's straight, guys. Obviously, ideally, you want a flat floor because otherwise it's going to be difficult for you to hold. This floor is not exactly ideal, but we're going to work with it. So keep them as straight as possible, keep your hands on point. And what you're going to be able to do, guys, is when you're actually doing the handstand, you're going to be wiggling your wrists around just to keep your body in the correct alignment and stop you from falling over. So if you want to concentrate on my wrists right now, this is what it's going to look like when I perform the handstand on parallettes. And you can jump into it the same way you would with a normal handstand. You can tuck into a ball, curl up into it, or you can kick into it as we discussed before. But I would recommend doing it this way. So just watch how my wrists work when I'm doing this handstand, guys. So as you can see, guys, to balance, I'm moving my wrists around, back, forward, just to keep myself up. Sometimes you'll find a little sweet spot where you're just sort of holding it without having to do that, a little bit like this. And most of the time it will be a balancing issue, and you will have to move your wrists around back, forth in order to keep up in the correct position. So keep that in mind when you do handstands on things such as parallettes. The next reason why you probably can't get a handstand yet is to do with your mobility, and this could be shoulder mobility or wrist mobility. So the number one thing you want to do is obviously make sure your body is in line for the handstand, making sure everything is as straight as possible for the best handstand form. That being said, if you're doing a handstand on the floor, you want to make sure your wrists are at a good level of stretchability. Don't even know if that's a word, but guys, you want to make sure your wrists are at a good mobility level essentially. So doing stretches like this to prepare your wrists for the workout is highly recommended before you do handstands, and even throughout the week when you're not training to do handstands, you can work on that mobility of your wrists, which is going to help you with your hold time and being able to do the handstand. Another thing you want to work on is your shoulder mobility, guys. So making sure that your shoulders can actually keep this position. A lot of people struggle, they have a hunch over, or their shoulders are just super weak. The way you can combat this, guys, is by grabbing a resistance band or just a stick, doing shoulder rotations just like this to work on your posture, keeping that position. Another thing that I like to do, guys, as well as doing the headstand to work on my alignment for my body, is just lay on the floor as you would on your stomach in a handstand, as if you're doing the handstand but in a horizontal position. So I'll show you quickly what that looks like. So what you want to do, guys, is just get onto the floor, stomach first, just like this, and just practice holding a handstand in this position right here. And you're going to feel what it's going to be like when you're in the handstand, but from a horizontal standpoint and a horizontal position. So this is exactly what it's going to be like when you're in that handstand, guys. So keep that in mind, and I'd recommend doing that if you're not quite sure what it's going to feel like when you're in that vertical position of the handstand. One more exercise that you guys can do with resistance bands that I've just forgotten about and I've remembered now is to just put your feet in the resistance band just like this. Keep your feet together ideally as you would in a handstand, and grab a resistance band that's going to be a tiny bit challenging, not too challenging, but just try and hold this position right here, guys. And this is going to help with the handstand and also help with the correct alignment that you're going to be in when it comes to the actual handstand. So practice doing this movement as well. Try to keep your arms as straight as possible. Try to keep your body in line. If you don't know if your body's in line, use a friend to help you, use a mirror or use your phone. There's multiple ways that you can do this. And let's get into the final reason why you probably can't do the handstand yet. Okay guys, so the final reason why you're not being able to do the handstand and you struggle to be able to do it is because you're still doing it on things such as a wall, which is good for learning the handstand and learning the correct alignment. You can practice that handstand on the wall, knowing that you're not going to fall over. I'd recommend doing it front way, so having your chest towards the wall. But anyway guys, when it comes to the wall, that is a good starting point. But it's going to come to a point, guys, where the bird has to leave the nest, and you've got to be able to try and do the handstand without using the wall. But handstands on the wall are very good, guys, so do not underestimate them. However, do not overestimate them either, because when it comes to the handstand, you're on your own, guys. You're there trying to balance with your wrists, your fingers, or your shoulders, everything. So keep that in mind. You've got to eventually be able to try and do the handstand without using things such as a wall. But guys, that is the main thing, is getting over your fear of being in a handstand. Exercises such as the headstand is going to help you get used to what it feels like to be upside down. So do not worry, practice doing the headstand and also carry on practice doing the handstand. I'd recommend trying to do it for at least 10 minutes a day if you're serious in trying to get the handstand. Obviously, I'd recommend one rest day a week, but 10 minutes a day is not going to be too strenuous, guys, and it is going to be doable. So keep that in mind, and eventually you're going to be able to do a little bit of something like this. And that is it for today's video, guys, on the reasons why you probably can't do the handstand yet and the things that you need to implement or start doing if you want to be able to achieve it quicker and be able to hold it for longer. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do not forget to like, and also do not forget to subscribe, because I'm posting content every single day, whether that's a short or a full YouTube video, so you don't want to be missing out on any information that I'm going to be giving you guys. Also, Just a little side note, I do have my own calisthenics program, the Calisthenics Dream Pack, and you guys can go check that out. It has everything in there in terms of programs, handstand training, everything you guys need to start calisthenics is in this program. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. And yeah guys, love you and see you in the next one. Peace.